Well, let's talk a little bit about stereotypes. There are a lot of stereotypes out there about STEM majors, STEM professionals, and let's see if we can't bust some of those for our audience if we can. So I'm going to start with Mikayla and then Natalia. You have to be perfect in math and science and get hundreds on everything to be a good college student, graduate with a STEM degree. You have to love it and live it, 24/7. That's all you do. Mikayla, you want to start?
No, definitely not. I mean, kind of like one of the stereotypes I did mention earlier is like a lot of people have this view of, I need to be in biology or something to go to medical school, which is not the case. I know plenty of people that are in engineering and are planning on going to medical school. So those are those kind of stereotypes for health professions as well. But yeah, no, definitely don't have to live, eat, sleep STEM all the time. Definitely just like I mentioned earlier, social support and helping each other out is definitely really good.
No, I would just say that it's really hard sometimes, especially when you're like comparing yourself with peers and, maybe it seems like everyone else is perfect and, that puts pressure on you to want to like be at that same level. But like the truth is everyone like it goes at different pace. There's, things going on behind the scenes that like you don't see. And so like knowing that really helps like, I guess break those stereotypes.
I was also going to say that fixed intelligence is not a thing. You can always get better at a subject. Don't think like, oh, I failed this math test, like I don't understand math. Like you can definitely work towards like just learning more and keep working towards that. It's not like fixed of anything for science, math, any subject in school.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then I think another thing too is a lot of times when you do have that pressure to like be a perfect student, like you think that means like you have to devote all this time to like homework and studying and everything. But I think putting yourself and like your mental health first is like really important in order for you to, even be able to like study and put time into your school. And I especially like first coming in like as a freshman, it's like a really big transition and like reality check almost. But yeah, so I think definitely like finding a balance between like, social life, like any like extracurriculars or hobbies that you have, as long as school is like, it's really healthy and good for you.
And I like that y'all both mentioned your student orgs as well, that support system and that network to help you, and understanding that you're kind of all in it together and you don't have to be perfect, and you can fail, but then you can learn from that and continue to grow from that. As Mikayla would say, you don't have that fixed mindset. You're not just born knowing how to do physics and differential equations. You have to learn and work at it and figure it out along the way. Awesome. Thank you. Well, Deanwood, let's come to you. So, we often have this image in our heads of scientists and engineers, maybe that stereotypical image of an Albert Einstein, the crazy hair, the older man, the white lab coat, working by themselves, no friends, no hobbies. You don't look like that. None of us like on here look like that. Can you describe a little bit about, college students and professionals today, and maybe tell us a little bit about your own experiences, your own research and engineering work? Did you wear that white lab coat?
Okay, so you're absolutely right, Tricia. The engineer is not just the stereotypical Albert Einstein absent-minded professor type thing, right? Is look in the mirror, and everyone that will look at, that's who an engineer can be. So that's what I really like so much about engineering today, is that it has become so much more diverse than it was when I started about 40 years ago. So yes, I think everyone has the potential to be an engineer, but as Tricia said, it doesn't mean it's easy, right? We do have to learn differential equations, which means we have to study. So sometimes our friends in other majors are going to be out having a great time on Thursday night, and you're studying because you have a test on Friday, but that's okay. That's part of a learning experience. I loved being an undergraduate. Not only did I really like studying civil engineering, but I was able to play in the orchestra. So I was really active in doing that. I participated in the crew for a couple of years. And so I had a lot of friends who are not engineers. And I think that really led to a well-rounded lifestyle. And I think that I enjoyed that. I also was a member of the American Society of Civil Engineers, a student chapter. So I had that support system. So you asked about my research. So my research primarily was looking at how to improve the behavior of buildings during earthquakes. And so when I was a grad student, we had a small earthquake simulator, so we could build small scale buildings in the lab. My structure for my PhD was maybe 12 or 14 feet tall, and we could shake it, and we'd have all kinds of instruments on it so we could understand how this building was responding. But then soon afterwards, I got to actually go visit sites where earthquakes had occurred. My first trip as a young faculty member was to go to Chile, because I had a very damaging earthquake there. And when I was able to observe how their buildings behaved and to learn lessons there and bring it back to the US to try to improve our buildings. So I've had opportunities that I never imagined, such as traveling around the world, meeting people, right? I have friends probably in countries around the world. It's something I never anticipated to happen. So I think there is you have a common belief that engineers are going to make the world better. And when you have people with that same belief, you just kind of attract, and you like to keep working on it. So work is fun. I think that's the best part about being an engineer. It's not a job, it's a career, and it has been fun my entire time. Even today, I don't spend all my time working, right? I spend a lot of time outside. I like to run. I love riding my bicycle. And so actually there are probably things behind me that kind of point to that. Yeah, that was the first race I ever did about 30 years ago on my bike. So I think I've enjoyed kind of having different components to my life, which I think is really important, which is what the other students have been mentioned also. Oh, and I've definitely never worn a white lab coat. So I did have coveralls that kind of look like a mechanic, because when you build reinforced concrete structures, you get really dirty. So I had work boots and these denim coveralls, but I never had a white lab coat, guarantee it.
Yes, I remember the days of my hard hat and my steel-toed boots and my coveralls, so that we could get out there and do the work, but not a white lab coat. That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. I think that the stories you all just shared dispelled quite a few myths, right? You don't have to be perfect at things. It can be hard, but you can work through it. You've got that community of support, whether it's teams on a project or your other members of your student orgs to help you get through, and that the work that is done is done in teams, and it's done to improve our world in some form or fashion. And we need all of these STEM majors and STEM professionals out there doing that.